debate live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to like and subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, Duncan, Refracted Curvature, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server, so welcome one and all.
Morning.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, good to be here, he says, after a slightly stress-inducing pre-show with Glurf scumbags. He later apologised, and then carried on rinsing and repeating, in fairly typical standard style that Globers do. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Well, it just doesn't seem like you have gas pressure.
We're breathing it.
Oh, my bad.
Without the balloon, there can be no pressure.
It's an antecedent-consequent relationship. First, you must have something to actually put the pressure upon. That's a container of some description. Sealed if you're going to try and form gas pressure inside it. And once you've got a container, the area of volume will be the area that the gas that you put inside that container will dissipate into and press upon the walls of it. Now, if you've got a big enough system, you can develop gas pressure gradients. So first you have containment, then you have gas pressure, then you can have the delta of gas pressure, which is a gas pressure gradient. In the case of Earth's gas pressure gradient, it's described from sea level. A flat Earth prerequisite to describe it. Now, the fact that we are arguing against this antecedent-consequent relationship that has a delta is a red herring, because who cares about the delta that comes after you form pressure? You first need to form pressure. So there must be containment in order for us to have gas pressure to breathe. Why would we as flat earthers even care about this subject? Well, in truth, we don't. I couldn't give a toss. I've no interest whatsoever in the air I'm breathing, beyond me not dying because there isn't enough of it, for whatever reason. Which there wouldn't be if the sky was a vacuum. I'd be dead. Because the gas that I'm breathing would fill that availability of volume at 10 to the minus 17 torr instantly. We'd have never developed gas pressure. We wouldn't be breathing if the sky was a vacuum to travel to the moon, to travel to Mars, to put things in orbit. There is no sky vacuum. It's the only reason we're discussing what is the antecedent-consequent relationship of gas pressure and containment. Because I have no interest in this. It's us responding to the positive assertion that the sky is a vacuum. It isn't. It violates the second law of thermodynamics, entropy. Gas fills space. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
There's no way to measure that distance.
But they've got a claimed distance. Do you know where that comes from?
Whoa. What do you mean there's no way to measure that? In school, I
What are
learned
you?
how
What
far
you talking
the sun
about?
was.
Well, Neil first, then George.
I'm just saying, in school, I learned how far the sun was. It changed, but they said 93 million miles away. What's the problem?
The 93 or 96? I always get those two wrong. Not that it matters.
We'll say 94.
Yeah, but they've extrapolated that distance based on Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion. But you still need something to scale with. And they just choose one light in the sky and suppose that it has the same spherical value of Earth when deriving Earth as a sphere from elevation angles to the stars. Well, when you've derived Earth as a sphere with flat Earth elevation angle measurements to the stars, Christian Huygens, can suggest that Venus has the same spherical value as a light in the sky as Earth as a sphere when measured flat with elevation angles to those stars. That's where they get their
That's
values.
pretty bold to assume that you're on a sphere. And with that assumption, you got it. Did I hear you say that you got it from flat Earth elevation angle measurements?
Yeah, first you measure the stars with
how
angles.
did it make it a sphere?
Yeah, first you measure the stars with angles, then you create the sphere with those angles. Then you can put yourself on the sphere to suggest that that sphere is moving in an orbital motion around the sun. Well, you can extrapolate out all the movements based on Keplerian elliptical orbital motion, but you still don't have a distance or a size for anything. You need to scale it. That's where Christian Huygens comes in and suggests, with an ingenious assumption, that Venus, in the Keplerian orbital motional world, has the same spherical value as Earth, and Earth's spherical value comes from flat plane measurements of the stars. Make sense? Of course it doesn't.
So first you measure Earth flat, then you convert that to a globe, then you assume a light in the sky is a sphere the same size as Earth, then you can get the measurement of the sun.
We missed a step.
Distance.
First you put that sphere that we derived from the flat plane measurements in motion around the sun.
Ah, yes, the orbits that you need a flat plane for. Got it.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, you were 99% there. Exactly. First you measure Earth flat, then you create a ball. Then you take that ball, put it in motion around the sun. Then you change the motion that was circular into elliptical. Then you scale that elliptical motion, with Venus being the scalar. But it's only the scalar because Earth's a scalar, and Earth's scale is derived from the flat Earth measurements of the angles to the stars. It all makes total
Okay, but
sense
The
if you believe you're on a
reference is
ball.
measured flat then.
Yeah, it's measured flat, yes.
My
Further to
favorite
that-
part is the assumption of Venus being floating soil.
Yeah, soil in the sky that we could somehow travel to through the motion that's created in the elliptical world. But we can't. We can't travel through a sky vacuum. That's where this all started, right?
There's something else to the incident angle that you'll measure requires a flat Earth.
Incident angle to
So-
what?
When they say radar or any kind of measurement, you're going to have a plane of reference for that.
When they're claiming distance with radar measurements to the sun, you're saying that the return angle is with respect to a plane of reference, correct?
Yes.
Of course it
Always.
is. Makes perfect sense. We measure Earth flat for everything. So in the pre-show, Jim was talking about final experiment. Apparently I'm being called a pussy because I don't want to go to Antarctica. I have no need to go to Antarctica to assume antipodal positioning. Now, Level Earth Observer recently exposed Dave and Jaron, that's Dave Weiss and Jaron Campanella, talking about going to Antarctica and what the results may be. And it was asserted by Dave that if it was to be the case that they observed a 24-hour sun moving around their location in Antarctica, then they would have to concede a ball Earth. This is incorrect. This is affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy that requires an antipodal assumption on the part of Dave, Jaron, and Whitsitt, who are the shills involving themselves in this fraud. The only way that this can evidence a globe is if you show us that you are travelling to the bottom of a globe. To assume that you are on the bottom of a globe and then observe a sun that may or may not move around you in a 24-hour duration does not affirm the consequent. It does not prove your automatic assumption of antipodal ball positioning. Furthermore, the antipodal ball positioning that's being assumed was created with flat Earth measurements. That is all.
Also, the logic of it would formulate as if I observe the elevation of the sun above the horizontal plane of reference for 24 hours, there is no horizontal plane of reference.
Yes, the description of the sun being above the horizon with respect to a horizontal plane of reference defies the automatic antipodal assumption that's taking place in this fallacy. The trick, in case anybody hasn't caught it yet, we've been saying it for about 6 months, is to get your opponent, in this case us, to assume their ball position when making the observation. So long as, if you want to know, why are they so keen to get me down there? Well, because so far, Jaron's going down there, and Whitsit's going down there, and Dave Weiss is talking about being down there. What's down there? What, on the bottom of a ball, I'm assuming, when I travel out towards the horizon, with the maps that were created with elevation angles and celestial navigation with respect to a plane? No, I'm not going down anywhere. I'm going out towards the horizon. So I say we're going out towards the horizon. What are you going to say? No, we're not. We're going to the bottom of a ball, on we go. No, we're not. Pitch data proves it. We're not travelling across a curved surface. Everything is reference flat. But if I say, okay, I'll go to Antarctica, what does the opponent do? Nathan's assuming we're on the bottom of a ball when we get there, because he's going down there with us. No, I'm not going to assume antipodal positioning. I've put this objection to them. It's not been overcome. Call me a pussy all you like. I have put this objection of antipodal assumptions in affirming the consequent fallacies stacked up in false dichotomy to the people appealing me to go down there. It has not been addressed. It's that simple. Furthermore, based on the claim of the title of this endeavour, the final experiment, it is fraud. I have also put this on several occasions to Will Duffy personally. I've also personally asked, prior to calling him a fraud, for the independent and dependent variable required in the hypothesis for it to be called an experiment. It has not been forthcoming. Duffy is a fraud. So number one, I don't need to assume antipodal positioning just by being there for you glurf numpty idiots who don't want to hear it. Yeah? You think by not saying it, it's going to slip us by that you've got ballers on the one side of the dichotomy and glurfs on the other. Flat earthers on the other. Well, that means you've automatically got one side of the argument assuming you're going to the bottom of a ball. That's why it's set up in false dichotomy, so you don't notice that one side of the assumption is assuming they're going to the bottom of the ball they're trying to prove. They've already got to the bottom of the ball when they get to Antarctica. They could call it a day there, but they would get called out. Oh, so you're just going to Antarctica so you can say they were on the bottom of the ball when you got there? No, we're there to look at the sun. What's that got to do with you assuming you're on the bottom of a ball? Well, it distracts you, the audience, away from it, doesn't it? But will Nathan come? He's a pussy. What, to the bottom of a ball that you're assuming? No, I'm not going to be doing that, I'm afraid. Now, do I give a toss what the sun does? No. Seemed consequential 10 years ago. Not anymore. Now we know Earth's measured flat and how all of the inferences of a sphere to assume have come from those measurements. All bets are off. Think I'll give a toss what you see down in Antarctica? No, but I'll just point out that you're down in Antarctica. That's an assumption of the very thing you're trying to prove. It's a begging the question fallacy. Don't assume you're going down to Antarctica. Show us that Earth's a ball. Here's the sun. That's not showing us Earth's a ball. That's showing what the sun does for 24 hours in a location called Antarctica. That you travelled out towards the horizon on a parallel plane with maps that were made using the values of the parallel lights in the sky that we used with the angles that we measured to create those maps that got you there. So Earth was flat on the way. Earth was flat when you arrived. It's still flat when you're looking at the angle with respect to the horizon and the sun above it. Everything's flat.
Why do they call it down under? Downs with respect to a horizontal plane. Are they talking about the equatorial plane?
No, they're talking about the globe that they're assuming that comes after the equatorial plane. They're not actually navigating. They're just begging the question and affirming the consequent. So there's no consequences to the angle measurements. They're just, is it above the horizon or not?
Yeah, but the down part, when they say down under, or we're going down to Antarctica?
Yeah, you're going to have a horizontal plane of reference to be describing spherical antipodal or, in reality, flat Earth antipodal with two models sandwiched on top of one another, north and south. Still flat. Yes, you will, to describe down from.
Is down part of the list
Yes.
that they can't say certain words?
Yes. Yeah, they can't use these
And
words.
when they're done with their observations, they will come back north, up north.
They'll come up back to the top of the globe that they started on, that they assumed before they'd set off.
Yeah, they'll go up north or down south.
No,
But
they're not
that's not how
allowed to
north
go
and
up. They're
south
not allowed to
is,
say up.
But those are not the
They're
vectors
not
of
allowed to
north
say
and
north
south.
or
North and
south
south
either.
are horizontal vectors.
Yeah, they are horizontal vectors. That's correct.
North and south, east and west, they can't have those either. Those are with respect to a horizontal plane.
Correct. There's a lot of things.
Dear.
There's a lot of things they're doing that require a horizontal plane, and they're asking me to go down, utilize and ignore all of the flat Earth references that are required and necessary to do this, in favor of ignoring 10 years of what we've done to suggest that I'm on the bottom of a ball before I've done a damn thing. Do it in the north. It's happening now, right? Oh, nobody will be told that they've gone to the bottom of a ball if they do them in the north, which happens regularly. Otherwise, they'd be doing it in the north. But you don't assume you've gone to the bottom of a ball when you do it in the north. That's the bit they need. They don't need the observation. They just need to get you, the audience, or me, to lend them credibility, to go with them while they go to the bottom of a ball.
Yeah, we just added yesterday another word to the list. It's called azimuth. It's a horizontal vector.
Yeah. Like I say, these ideas, these measurements will be employed in the journey. It's not an experiment, it's fraud. It is assuming the outcome because it's got a ball that you're going to the bottom of before you do a damn thing, and it isn't affirming the consequent fallacy. If Earth's a sphere and we travel antipodal, we'll observe 24-hour sun. We observe 24-hour sun, therefore we travelled antipodal. It's an affirming the consequent fallacy. It's actually two. If Earth's flat, we will not see 24 hours of sun in Antarctica. We do not see 24 hours of sun in Antarctica, therefore Earth's flat. Two, affirming the consequent fallacies. That's what it actually is, in false dichotomy. Shout out to QE who pointed that out.
Yeah. And just a quick hint on the words they can't use. Just think of any kind of vector within a Cartesian coordinate system. They cannot use that.
Oh, go on.
I've got the. I'll just read the update
Exactly,
out,
because
Nate.
George, then one deck.
the Cartesian system itself, it's horizontal plane. That's why.
You need a flat Earth for that.
Yeah, it can go on and on. At the moment, we can add to this. It's just 29 words. We've got 29 words not allowed to be used when explaining how Earth curve is measured. Sea level, horizon, horizontal, parallel, plumb, perpendicular, elevation, angles, triangles, sea sextant, theodolite, spirit level, altitude, vertical, tangent, straight line, up, down, plane, north, south, east, west, azimuth, and flat. 29 words, and that's that. You can't use these unless you're explaining flat.
And degrees. They can't say degrees.
No, they
You
can't.
can't say much.
No, they can't.
That's a tough one. Hold on.
They can't say degrees.
Oh.
Their degrees of latitude are wrapped around the ball. They've turned the protractor into those degrees. So that's probably one exception. It's part of their rhetoric. Now, obviously, I'm not going to it's notwithstanding the fact that they'd have to ignore all of the flat Earth measurements that given the position to be in a ball, to call the globe a protractor, for it to have latitude degrees placed on it, on the surface, for you to assume that you're standing on it and describing the turning of the globe with respect to the centre point. That's hell. So they can do it. It just violates the original measurement when you create a globe in the first instance. But they can and they do. So
Right.
it's slightly ambiguous. They can't. They need a flat Earth to describe it. You can't turn a globe Earth from hell. There's a lot of problems with it. Doesn't alter that they do it.
In that case, I have
Right.
more words to add. Yeah, protractor. Can't use a protractor, Nathan. I'm sorry, because a protractor requires a baseline.
I mean, it's up to one deck. It's his list, but I wouldn't be putting it on there just because it'd
Well,
end up in the ambiguity being argued about rather than the consistency of the list being solid as a rock, which it is at the moment. There's not a single word on that list that's contentious so far.
One deck you
The,
can
the
add
thing
circles
is,
of equal
you can
altitude on
use
that.
Just let Refracted go. He's tried 3 times. Hold on, one deck. Go ahead, Refracted.
right. The conceptual unit is one thing. They can talk about the conceptual unit, but the moment they try to apply it to reality is when they're going to run into trouble because they have no reference, so it won't be a measurement.
One deck you can add the circles of equal altitude on the list.
So you can. I mean, I did the list originally just with the main words that often come up quite regular with these globers and anti-flat earthers. It can go on forever and ever, probably.
No,
We
those are
can add that
phrases.
to it, but
Circles of equal altitude. Yeah, that's a specific description of something. Whereas we're just saying words: north, south, east, up, down, azimuth, altitude,
level, angle, yeah.
flat. These are all things they can't use. Triangle. They're words, right?
Yeah, nothing to do with
Circle.
curvature. And as soon as I was called I was called hostile. I was having this chat with 2 globers the other night, and I just stopped them in the tracks every time they used one of these words. And they was getting a little bit angry that I was stopping them in the tracks. And why can't we use this word? I said, well, you're using words to describe a flat Earth. That's my job. These are the words I use. You won't be using them. You're trying to describe curvature, and you're not doing very well. So they went on again with angle, elevation, sea level, altitude, and I just kept stopping them. And in the end, there was 2 of them, and they said I was being very hostile and called me lots of names and said they didn't want to talk to me.
Don't they have words for curvature to describe their curvature? Why are they taking our words?
No, they need our
Even-
words to describe the curvature with. A curve is a deviation from the horizontal, Neil.
Even the word radius,
Well, then
you
they're up
cannot
Schitt's
use.
Creek.
Hold on,
You're going
George.
to need a
Hold on,
horizontal
George.
plane
Just hold
for
on one
radius.
second. I just want to square this with Neil. Do you appreciate, Neil, that to describe, you will also need a flat Earth to describe Earth curve, right? You get that? It's in the Earth curve maths, yeah?
Well, then they're up Schitt's Creek, then, buddy. Sorry, game over.
Yeah. Everything's described with respect to a horizontal plane. That's what we reference to give these descriptions. So if you're describing a hill, yeah, how much it just deviates from level is how you describe the hill. Now, if Earth curves a hill, the same principle applies. Like with the slope-intercept formula, when they're claiming horizontals, they need them to both reference for horizontal and bend. But the bend itself is a deviation from the horizontal, so you still need the completely level plane to describe it from. Neil, do you follow?
Yeah, they have to. I understand. Show. They can't describe anything without using our words. They can't. That's what you're saying to me.
Without measuring Earth flat, specifically.
Yeah. So they have no choice but to use the words that one deck deemed they shouldn't be using. They have to.
Yeah, and if they're going to use them to describe curvature, as they do, it's right there in the maths, they'll first use a flat Earth to describe it with. That's why they can't use those words.
Yeah, but they have to, Nathan. What do you want? You're really not giving them any wiggle room. No fair.
No, but why would we? The wiggle room is to bend flat. That's the wiggle room.
It's so over for them. I actually do feel a little bad for them.
I don't. The more time goes on, the more heavily censored I feel. Anyway, George, sorry to put you on standby. Go ahead.
Sorry, away from my mic. Even for the radius of Earth, they're going to require a horizontal plane in the first place.
Yeah, like on screen now. The equatorial plane, this is a sectional view of what effectively makes Earth a protractor, with the plane of reference that's actually used if you're going to cross-reference any angle measurements from the surface with a globe Earth in tow. They won't be with respect to the globe Earth surface. They'll be coming from hell off the equatorial plane and extended celestial plane, because that's how Earth's measured. It doesn't work on a curve. You've created the curve with respect to the plane that you measured in the first place. So if you project out angles from this center point, that's how you get these positional pieces of information. You're projecting the line that you took from a star along the plane of reference through the protractor and mapping those points onto the protractor. But for it to function with the angles to the stars, you still have to have a plane of reference in hell to measure through the protractor that gives you the measurement in the first place to the star with a celestial sphere wrapped around it. That was the view that was on previously.
Yeah, the elevation angle from the equator to Polaris and back. Yeah, that's the radius of Earth, a circle of equal altitude. In other words, latitude. It requires a horizontal plane, flat Earth.
It is beautiful though, and once you get them to make the claim that they live on a globe, whatever nonsense they might be talking about at the time, once they claim they live on a globe, just ask them how it's measured, and then just give them the mic and let them start talking, and they will start to mention these words: angles, sea level, horizontal. And as soon as you do, you stop them in the tracks. It's just it's wonderful. Just give them the mic and let them talk, and they'll just start talking about how Earth is measured flat. They're doing our job for us.
Speaking of giving people the mic, QE has a live stream that's going to be running at 7 p.m. UK, 5 a.m. Sydney Australian time, and 1 p.m. US Central. That's QE Live Open Panel. So be here or be Sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. So if you're up now listening to this going, I'd love to get involved, but I can still taste the toothpaste, then maybe the QE show, which is an open panel show, is for you. Links will be in the description box below his video to join this very same Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So be here or be Sphere on the Quantum Eraser channel. As I say, 7 p.m. UK, 5 a.m. Sydney Australian time, and 1 p.m. US Central on the Quantum Eraser channel.
Well, Nathan, if you can just concede that straight is straight but curved, then we can argue about a globe.
They still need it to be straight and straight with the angles still being angles. That's why we've got this rigmarole on screen, like Thunderfoot drew, right? Two different North Poles, planes of reference that are going to be transposed into hell. It's all nonsense.
But they also need it to be curved when they argue with us about it. They need it to be straight for the measurement, but curved for the argument.
Yeah, surface level needs to be curved. That's the base argument that we find ourselves in 2024. Surface level must abide by its axiomatic principles of being level, but also curve and violate its very nature. That's their argument currently. Correct.
When you look at a picture of their Earth curve calculator, the surface level doesn't look curved. It's a horizontal line.
Yeah, it's labelled surface level.
Yeah, parallel to eye level.
Yeah, flat. Abiding by the axiomatic principles they'd need to describe the curve from. Surface level's how they're calculating it. It's flat. Earth curve requires a flat Earth too. Please share the show if you've not done so already. Smash that share button, stick it on Bebo or MySpace, or wherever you like your social media tweets to go. Stick it on X, stick it on Facebook.
Yeah,
It's so
when
funny.
I first started looking,
Sorry, John.
John, then Monday.
when I first started looking into the after the elevation angle, started looking into what the words mean. Drop is defined as a drop from level to level. I kid you not. They never say what drop is, but that's how they have to define it.
Yeah, it's the difference between eye level and surface level in earth curve maths, unless I'm mistaken. That's what you're talking about, right?
No, when they curve the line below surface level and they say there's a horizon at that point, they're trying to describe a drop from level to level.
Gotcha.
That's I'm not kidding.
That isn't a false laugh. That's what I was just going to say before, John. I'm finding myself laughing at this, really chuckling. You know, when I listen to Nathan with these globers, and even when I'm doing it, or when we're just talking about the what's actually happening, it's like, wow, this is so funny. They're trying to explain how they live on a globe by explaining how it's flat. I mean, it couldn't get any worse for them.
My patience is wearing
It's
very
funny.
thin with these people, actually, one deck. As much as it does amuse the audience, you know, you listen to the pre-show. My temper got very short very quickly the moment the fundy came in and started asking us about firmaments. And it didn't take long for me to be screaming at the guy, because he knows the outcome, he knows the answer. In his brain, he's just trying to figure a way of getting around that problem. Like it's a problem that gas pressure by definition requires containment. Now, when that person that's asking us about proving that there's a firmament, end quote, is telling us that they understand the definition of the word, and then they resort to asking us if that's satisfactory or not, how it's defined. That's not how I said it in the pre-show. I absolutely yelled it at him, you know, because it's infuriating. We're with reality deniers. Back to the words and their definitions have no meaning. Like, then we have no ability to communicate with one another. This is silly. This is the level that we're descending to deal with globe believers, where they're like, well, does the fact that it's defined that way mean that it is that way? Yes. The fact that you would ask is going to get you shouted and sworn at by me. So if you're watching this on one of the uncut and after shows as opposed to live, and you're like, oh, Nathan's such a monster shouting at people. Nah, I've done it for 10 years, and I'm sick of people coming in and strawmanning us and immediately being slippery, like saying, you guys claim a firmament, now give me the proof for that which you claim. Well, who claimed it? You say there's container. No, actually, I say containment must be in place for us to have gas pressure, but nevertheless, that isn't a firmament. I haven't said it, but here we are arguing within the context of a glurf that's lied about what we've said we can prove. Firmament, you say? Oh, right.
Well, actually, I want to be fair because when we reset and we both apologized, you stopped being mean and you actually started defending me. So I'll give you that.
You offended me immediately as soon as you started talking about a firmament that I hadn't claimed, when specifically
Yeah,
suggesting that
I
you
did.
wanted to talk to me. So you want to talk to me about a firmament I haven't claimed. You immediately offended me before you'd even opened your mouth.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you apologised for it, and I apologised for swearing at you because you seemed conciliatory, but then immediately went to asking us whether or not the definition was acceptable. Like me yelling at you, that's how it's defined. Didn't have any impact, clearly.
I get what you were saying. It's okay.
So do you understand then that there must be containment and the space is fake? Can't be a vacuum. We'd have no gas to breathe, right? You understand that now, yeah?
Then what kind of environment is the Earth in?
Right, my question was, do you understand that there can't be a sky vacuum because the gas we're breathing would fill it? And your response to that is to ask me a question about what I haven't claimed.
No, okay.
Pretty much
okay, I'm
interrupting me
sorry.
now. I'm summarising what he's done in response. So what he's done in response is completely ignore what I've put to him. This is why in the pre-show he got shouted and sworn at. Zero acknowledgement of what I've said to him. Zero. Instead, a short pause. He's had a little think about how he can reposition the question without answering it, and he's put a question to me about what the universe is. I didn't make any claims about it. Why am I being asked about it? I said the sky cannot be a third. This is the third time. By the time I got to the seventh time in the pre-show, I'm furious with this guy. It's getting that long away. It's only because I'm live that I managed to keep a lid on it. It's now the third time. You understand, based on the discussion we had with 7 attempts for you to concede, gas pressure gradients came from sea level. Welcome to Flat Earth was a response, no acknowledgement. Now we're at, you understand, containment's part of the definition. You'd need it. Therefore, we can't have a sky vacuum. Space is fake. Third attempt. You understand that, right? 101 watching.
Okay. I understand that you're saying space is fake. I have a question to that. What
No, it's not that I'm
kind of
saying it.
envi-
You've repositioned again. It's not that I'm saying it. Based on entropic law and gas dispersion. Based on the requirement you've conceded of containment. You've now taken that and said, based on what you've said. Okay, so can you acknowledge what I've said then? Based on the antecedent consequent of containment, you understand there cannot be a sky vacuum. Yes?
Okay. Yes. And I have a question for that.
Okay, no,
What kind
no,
of-
I'm leading you. No, so you understand that space is fake. Okay. Well, that kind of undermines your entire religious zealot belief that we're on a ball in a sky vacuum because it's fundamental to your religious belief. So upon you conceding, yes, I understand we'd need containment to be breathing, therefore there can't be a sky vacuum because that's where all the gas would go, as you've just done. That's the end of the heliocentric religion. It's not just, yes, but I've got a question for you. No, that's the point that I now make a conclusion, having led you here with great difficulty. So I'll conclude. Not time for a question from you. I'll conclude. Your entire religion's bunk then. Can you concede that? You haven't got a religion in a sky vacuum anymore then?
So I can't ask a question?
You could concede that your entire bleeding religion falls apart at the seams if you haven't got a sky vacuum, because that's where men in space are claiming to take pictures from. That's where orbital motion exists that comes from maths of flat Earth measurements. Without a sky vacuum, you don't have a globe religion. Can I ask you a question? Bet you that's the response.
No, that's not the response.
So no globe religion, no sky vacuum, no trips to the moon, no men in space, no Voyager. Nothing. It's all fake. The entire religion collapses upon your understanding that we need to be under containment to be breathing. No sky vacuum. End of religion.
Okay.
Okay. So that's it. Bye-bye globe. You've got no reason to believe in it anymore. It's a violation of natural law. Like everybody watching this. It's not like you entered to ask us about a firmament. It seems you already intrinsically know the antecedent-consequent relationship, but still retain the globe faith. You were introduced as a globe believer. So this is just religious zealotry when you ask me about my firmament. Something that's come from religious contexts. It's you projecting your religious faith in a globe in spite of it being bunk. So when you came in and got swore at, it's because of the projection that we're now unveiling for our audience. You have a religion that you will still no doubt retain in spite of its violation of natural law. That's zealotry. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. As flat earthers, the real ones that know it's measured flat, not the ones like Dave Weiss that say, quote, it could just be a really big ball, end quote, flat Earth Dave. No, the real flat earthers, us, the ones telling you how Earth is measured and getting fundamentalist religious zealots to concede their sky vacuum's not real. We will continue to endeavour to point out how Earth is measured in the face of abject zealotry, because that's what the world is inhabited by. They just don't even know it. Religious fundamentalists. Hello, QE. Did you like my plug for your show?
I think.
After you posted it in Skype, I immediately shouted it out.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Be here or be sphere on the Quantum Eraser channel, 7 p.m. UK, 5 a.m. US, Australian, 1 p.m. US Central. Quantum Eraser YouTube channel.
Why'd you have a little giggle over that?
Why?
Yeah, over the Sydney time.
Why? Because it's so early.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, bloody lazy Aussies aren't going to be up at 5 a.m. Like I just slandered an entire nation.
Stereotyping fallacy.
Absolutely. Bloody Aussies.
They're all criminals anyway.
Getting close to that line. I love it.
That was a joke. That was a joke, Australians.
I had a guy I was talking to on Omi TV the other day, and in amongst the pretty crap questions that he gave me, one of them was, do you believe in Australia? I'm like, I'm telling you how Earth's measured flat, and your response is to ask me if I believe in Australia. Are you joking?
Do you believe in grass? Or
Well, it's on the bottom of his ball, isn't it?
On the bottom of his ball.
Nah,
No, there was.
it's one of those things they conjured from 2015.
Yep.
Right? Somebody, he must have seen a video, amateur night video from a Wiki or Discovery Channel parrot, or heard it from another baltard. You guys don't believe Australia. That sort of, in that vein.
Yeah, it's kind of a...
and or
Go on, John.
actually, I think it was not Jaron, but it was somebody else from Globebusters that put forth the idea that, well, have you ever been to Australia to assert that it exists, as a defense to the question that were asked?
Yeah, perfect lead into how I was going to explain the juxtaposition between globe Earth and flat Earth. So globe Earthers may have in the past said, I'm not going to... Another guy on Omi TV did this. He was like, I didn't believe the heliocentric stuff. If I can't go there, why would I believe it exists? Now, with that logic in tow, the rebuttal is pretty simple. So if you've not been to Korea, you don't believe Korea exists. Because that's the logic you're employing. Now, obviously, that sets up a nice false dichotomy rather than pointing out, sorry, where were we talking about again? Narnia? Well, if you've not been to Narnia, how can you say Narnia doesn't exist? Because I'd have to travel through a friggin' wardrobe to get there and suffer the consequences of the time dilation that would keep me eternally young if I was to return through it. That's garbage. No, not going to Narnia isn't going to be some rebuttal that you offer me in terms of me therefore not claiming Australia exists. This is garbage. We know the area above our head claimed to be a sky vacuum doesn't exist. So does our fundamentalist friend on the panel. You can't have gas pressure that we're all breathing if the sky's a vacuum. That's where all the gas would disperse into. We'd never have developed gas pressure. We'd all be dead in that religious worldview of a ball Earth in a sky vacuum. The sky's not a vacuum. So what's that? Well, you haven't been to the sky vacuum second law of thermodynamics violation, so how can you say it isn't real? Yeah, I can say I haven't been to Narnia. I can say I haven't been to space. But when I show that you can't have time dilation wardrobes or second law of thermodynamics violation gas pressure not dispersing, that debunks the area. I don't have to not not go there. It's just silly.
I have another idiot in chat. Buck Sodbuster. It's in your YouTube chat. I just watching it. Buck Sodbuster, you idiot sod. This is what he says. Gas does not uniformly diffuse if influenced by external forces. Number one, that's a straw man fallacy. We never said it uniformly diffuse. And what are these external forces on gases? I'd like to see that. Which is why we have a pressure gradient. That's not why you have a pressure gradient, number one. Number two, where'd you get the gas pressure in the first place to describe a gas pressure gradient, you moron?
First, you have containment.
And then he says, which is why pressure gets lower as we go up. You can't go up on a ball-tard. You can only go in or out, which is why space is a near vacuum. That's a non sequitur. Thanks.
No.
Thanks for playing, Juan. Come join the panel.
Stop. When he said, then space is a near vacuum, can you just read that bit out again, please? Hello? There's a point where they say gas is getting gradiated and less and less and less, and then there's a vacuum. That's a straight up violation of the second law of thermodynamics, though, isn't it? As soon as they say that. Go on.
Sorry, I was on mute. I said the whole thing, but I was on mute, for God's sake. His last.
I thought you were annoyed that I'd stopped you.
Yeah, see, because I have mic discipline. That's why. But I'll continue with your question. His last statement, which is why we have a gas pressure, no, he didn't say that, which is why we have a pressure gradient, which is why pressure gets lower as we go up, which is why, so three, which is why, space is near a vacuum. That's a non sequitur.
What you're calling a non sequitur is the straight up second law of thermodynamics violation part of it, though, isn't it?
No, that was in the first part, but his three premises are all fallacious. So that makes the conclusion non sequitur.
It's the same old delta X garbage. If you can appeal to delta X gas pressure gradients, you think you will whistle past the fact that to have a gas pressure at a gradation, you wouldn't need containment for that also? Yeah, you'll still need gas to be under containment to form a gradient. It doesn't in any way overcome the argument. It's a red herring.
We're getting drugged back into the friggin' 2016. I dealt with this right out the gate in 2016 with the gas pressure gradients and how you train wreck yourselves. I mean, how long ago was that? Do the math. How many times you think we've gone over this?
Doesn't matter. Somebody was in today doing it.
In presentation, in discussion, in how many shows would you guess?
1,000.
No, not 1,000.
Nah,
it's probably
it's
close to
1,000.
100, though. I would imagine that there's been hundreds of specialist shows on this very subject. I mean, this would be included in one of them.
Here's his response. QE, that is ridiculous. Well, come on in on the show and we'll discuss it.
Right, that's ridiculous was the response?
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
At least he spelled it right.
What, nuh-uh?
Ridiculous. Most people spell it R-E. Most morons. He spelled it correctly, which is impressive. Come on in. We'll have a discussion.
What's the guy's name?
Buck Sodbuster.
Doesn't seem to be in the live VC.
I'll bust your grass.
Or you can join QEs later. Feel free.
I wonder if Bucksaw can demonstrate gas pressure without a container.
Real science education. I've seen that one too. Sorry, I'm observing chat skanking. I just have nothing better to do right now. Real science education. Every one of those shows are nonsense. Complete hand wave dismissal. I've seen some of your post real science education. You need a science education. You don't even know what natural science is, you glue sniffing fungus muncher. Come on in here too, real science education. We'll give you an education.
Speaking of giving someone an education, on that politics server, One of the people that we were chatting with was called Atheist Junior. Do you remember him? Well, anyway, that particular participant in the politics server, if you go back and listen, there was a guy that spent a reasonable amount of time with us, fairly prolonged period of time arguing back and forth, and running away and coming back. But that particular guy has also got a YouTube channel, so I might as well shout it out. At least he put in the effort and gave us some content. So, Atheist Junior, and he's got about 8,000 subs. Considers himself a content creator. Good for you. I wish you every success on YouTube, my friend. Thank you for participating in the politics server.
Fuck Sodbuster. This is the last address to your dumbass. He says, who said there wasn't a container? You. Because you're a globetard. Can't be a container. How does all your moon and Mars trips and your satellites get out there?
You know what's
Get
coming.
it?
You know what's coming next.
Say it.
You know what's coming next. Yeah, but I, as the individual, don't say we haven't got a container. They will literally relinquish their entire Gelurf belief in the face of defeat.
Just like you don't have to say there's not a container. Your religion and your scriptures say there's not a container. It's more or less like you don't have to say you're a communist. Now, I already know you don't believe in private property friggin' ownership because you're a communist. Just as you're a globetard.
Yeah.
You don't believe in a container.
On screen now, we've got this rocket that's claimed to be leaving the surface of Earth flat, with vectors that are described with a flat plane. But that's surplus to this point. Now here we've got claimed to be high pressure gas right next to 10 to the minus 17 torr sky vacuum. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no containment between the claimed to be sky vacuum where gas would definitely disperse, it's a law of nature, and the high pressure gas. And there's claimed to be rockets traversing into the high vacuum from the high pressure gas without any issue. I mean, the gas that would definitely follow them and would never have developed in the first place is just hanging around while the rockets are going through the lack of containment in this religious belief. I mean, it's complete garbage and nonsense. There must be containment. But of course, according to their rhetoric, you've got ball earths in sky vacuums with things falling around them, and gas not following entropic law, just hanging around at the Kármán line, chilling out, gaining weight, maybe going back down, go boom boom with a gravitational force that's not a force that you can think of as a force. There's all sorts of garbage going on in this stupid religion. Meanwhile, in this stupid religion, there is no containment. There's just a high vacuum with gas not filling it, violating the second law of thermodynamics. But I don't say there is a container. I haven't said that.
Hold on. We have gas pressure. I don't see it on Earth. I don't see it where I'm standing. I don't see gas being contained.
Well, just go down the local butane factory, Neil, and then you'll see it getting contained all day.
No, the
You
guy
don't feel
today
wind?
this morning said he's standing here and he doesn't see any containment for the gas pressure that I'm breathing right now.
It's an antecedent consequent relationship. Without
You
the
just put the
container, there
fan
can be
on.
no pressure. Go on, George.
Just plug the fan on.
What, create a differential? Why?
Yeah, just move the existing pressure around the room. It's fine.
Oh, you're going where I was about to take that. Yeah, so long as we can identify the changing in pressure because of a fan, we can then ignore the fact that we've already got gas to push around with the fan that must be under containment for us to have it to push around with the fan. But if I just talk about the fan and the difference in pressure that the fan creates, I can ignore the already inexistent gas pressure that we must have under pressure in containment to do that. Yeah, we've heard that one too. It's the same exact appeal to delta X. Here's a pressure gradient and I haven't got a container. Yeah, but you've already got existing gas pressure. So you must have containment. It wouldn't exist if you didn't.
Remember when they used to say just look up?
Yeah, so straight up begging the question fallacy. In violation of natural law. Just look up, there's a sky vacuum. No, if I just looked up and said there's a sky vacuum, the gas would be filling it. No, the gas isn't filling it. Just look up. It's not filling it.
Why don't they ever say just look out?
If you remember
you
that
can't
time
use
you were
up-
in with Patrick.
Even in my,
Go ahead,
in my
buddy.
even in my devil's advocate representation of a baller, I'm doing a fair job though, aren't I? They'd say up, wouldn't they?
Yes.
Yeah,
Every
they can't.
time.
They shouldn't. They can't.
Yeah, but when you asked that question in that debate you were having when you were with Patrick Gunnels, the guy said air for any evidence. They could have gas pressure without containment. He said air. That's exactly what he was talking about, correct?
Yeah. He's assuming that we have air and the sky is a vacuum by his assumption, and it's not filling it because the religion says that we've got air and we have got a sky vacuum. Therefore, that's my evidence that we have got a sky vacuum and it's not filling it. It's like, no, that's a straight up violation of the law of thermodynamics that I've appealed to explain why we haven't got a sky vacuum. Just look up. When he said air, that is what he meant. However, because he offered zero context, it was just a very humorous line. What's your demonstration of gas pressure without a container? Air. And then I think Patrick was like, come again? What? I stuck that on a shorts video and it's ended up with several thousand views. So it's a very popular video on YouTube.
Yeah, he pulled the
So
Brennan.
air is not pressurized gases then?
No, he's just appealing. The point of this is that when we ask them for an example of gas pressure without a container, they'll say, well, the air itself is an example of gas pressure without a container because we do have a vacuum, we do have gas pressure, and it ain't filling it. No, that's straight up begging the question. And a violation of natural law.
Exactly, because air is exactly what we are breathing. In other words, gas pressure. So for the existence of air, it needs to be in the pressure in the first place.
Right. Actually got that clip. Shall I play it? Space-time doesn't hold it in a container.
And if I could say something else, Josh, you do bring up the concept of gravity, and that's what holds our so-called atmosphere here. I would ask you, what evidence do you have that gas gets acted upon by so-called gravity?
Air.
What?
Air.
That's not an answer. What evidence do you have that gas gets pulled on by gravity?
Air.
Space-time doesn't hold it. That's it.
That's an old clip. That's pretty funny, man. I forgot about him. We can just disagree to disagree.
We can just disagree to disagree. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
Have you heard the latest Dave Weiss quote?
No.
Go and check out Level Earth Observer's video where he's got a little clip of Dave Weiss discussing Jaron and Witzit's trip down to the antipodal position that Antarctica resides in, and how if they observe a 24-hour sun in the assumed to be antipodal position that Antarctica is in when on a ball, then they'll have to come back and concede it's a ball. It's going to set the cat amongst the pigeons when they come back and tell us that it's on a ball. But that's just going to be a benefit to Flat Earth when Jaron and Witzit come back telling us that it is the antipodal assumption that they assumed when they went down to Antarctica and then saw 24-hour sun disconnected from that original assumption and tell us that it is because we're on a ball, and Dave Weiss would also agree. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Mo, Larry, and Curly are already baltards. I've told you that a long time ago.
Yeah. It could just be a really big ball, end quote, David Weiss. Sad, really.
Is he making the argument for ignorance right there?
Yeah. We discussed this in yesterday's pre-show, right? If you oppose a position that you understand not to be true and defy it anyway, we've decided to label that an argument for ignorance as opposed to an argument from ignorance. So an argument for ignorance would be exampled perfectly by Thunderfoot. You go out and you measure a flat earth, you get an angle from the flat earth on the surface of the flat earth. You then, quote, tell yourself it's the same, end quote, as an angle in hell. You just tell yourself this is the same as this. That's an argument for ignorance. So you know it's not measured in hell. You know it's not functioning in hell. But if you just tell yourself that it is in hell, then you're arguing for ignorance then, aren't you? Because you're defying the measurement you've just took. But it's okay, it's cool by you, you're okay to be ignorant, even though you know it isn't the case. You know it's not that ignorant position of being in the centre of hell. You know that's not the case, but you've decided you're going to tell yourself it is. So an argument for ignorance.
Hey, can you plug Ballbusters this Saturday? It's going to be Flight. We're going to hit it three ways from Sunday.
Oh, it's going to be an absolutely epic show on Saturday. How can I plug this without giving away what's going to be epic? There's something that gives it away too. Just give me 10 seconds to think how I can phrase this without basically defying what Brian's explicitly told me not to do. I'll just plug Ballbusters. Ballbusters is going to be amazing on Saturday, and you must be there. It's going to be on the same channel I've plugged 3 times already, which is the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel, Be Here or Be Sphere. So it's Ballbusters, usual times. That's 7 p.m. UK. No, it's not. It's 8 p.m., isn't it? 8 p.m. UK.
Correct. 8 p.m. US Central.
8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. US Central. Be Here or Be Sphere. And yeah, you're not going to want to miss Saturday's Ballbusters. It's akin to a Black Swan moment in terms of being... Adam's ruining this. Hello, Adam.
I'm aiming to stop you bloody ruining it.
Yeah.
I haven't ruined anything. Nobody knows a damn thing. I've been about as vague as I could possibly be. I've said it's a big deal. I've said it's like you wouldn't want to have missed the Black Swan that converted refracted curvature. He was telling us and regaling us with the fact that he was there at the live stream when that got released and it converted him to being from a baller to a flat earther. Well, this is another one of those moments. You don't want to miss Ballbusters on Saturday. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think there's going to be any new information coming out on there.
Nothing
We've
new
done
under
this
the sun.
before.
Yes, there's nothing new under the sun.
What?
Well, for a start, you're
All
going...
there is, me and Brian will be spending a little bit of time before Saturday smartening up the old presentations and just adding a little touch of nuance here and a sprinkling of data here. Yeah, so something to look forward to, I think.
If you want to know what that translates to, Brian's coming across on the ferry and they're both going to go and get shit-faced.
That's it. We're off out in Blackpool. No, but we've got a bit of work to do this week in readiness for Ballbusters, so I'm looking forward to it.
You're still kind of low. Did you get a new mic yet?
No.
Hopefully that'll be resolved by Saturday. But with that, I am going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, smashed the super chat, hit me up on Ko-Fi and PayPal and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels, and I will see you all in the next video.